There is nothing that I love more than a delicious chocolate chip cookie. And today I'm gonna share with you our family's favorite recipe for the most chewy and slightly crunchy chocolate chip cookie. For this recipe, you're gonna need a half a cup of white sugar, 3/4 cup packed brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, a half a cup of butter that is melted, 1 egg, 1 1/4 cups sifted flour, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and about 1 pack or about a cup of baking chocolate chips. So I'm gonna add all of my sugars first. There we go. That was my white sugar. Now I've got my brown sugar. And then to this, we are going to add our melted butter, as well as the vanilla extract. Make sure that when you're adding your butter that it's nice and cooled down, because we're gonna be adding 1 egg after this, and we don't wanna cook the egg in the process. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start mixing our primary ingredients together until it's a little bit incorporated so that it's nice and smooth. As smooth as we can get it right now. Then we are going to add the egg, and it's just 1 egg. So we're gonna put that in there, just like that. And then we are going to continue mixing. Y'all, we are like more than halfway through this baby. Now that I've got that mixed up and it's got this really nice, almost like caramel-like consistency, isn't that pretty? I'm going to go ahead and add my dry ingredients. So right here I have the flour and the baking soda, and like I said, I use sifted flour. I like to also sift the baking soda in there as well. So now I'm gonna just whisk this all together. Ugh. Flour on me. As you can see, I'm just using a regular old whisk. You don't need any electronic things. You can use like a hand mixer, you know, the one that just goes zzz. It's got the little twirlies, or you can use a standing mixer, but honestly, those things are so annoying to clean. Things splash everywhere. You have to clean basically the entire appliance. So you really don't need that for this, and that's what makes this recipe also very simple. Look at that. It looks delicious just the way it is. I wanna eat it right now, but I can't because it's got raw egg. Don't do that. Now we are going to fold in the wonderful chocolate chips. I like to just eyeball it. And I'm just realizing right now that I did not add my salt. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. This recipe is very forgiving. So me adding this right now is not that big of a deal. And I use sea salt, which is really weird. And this happened because I did not have regular salt on me one time, and I just used the sea salt. I like it because it gives it kind of that salted caramel taste. So with the brown sugar, it's got molasses in it, and it's almost very like caramelly. So it kind of brings that out, and I love it. So we've got our chocolate chips in here. We've got our last minute salt, and that's okay. Honestly, the butter that I use has a little salt in it already, so I only needed to put just a little amount of it. Now that my batter is finally ready, I'm not going to bake it. What I am going to do is stick this in the refrigerator, and I'm gonna kind of let it sit so it starts to harden just a little bit. So what that does is it allows the cookie to become a little bit more full. When you stick it in just like this, it's a little bit melted already, so it's not going to be like that nice full cookie. Now, ordinarily, I would stick this in the refrigerator for like an hour or so, but because I am so hungry right now, I'm gonna stick it in the freezer just for a little bit. You can certainly do that. It cuts the time in half. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for about 20-30 minutes. And let's also preheat our oven for 350 degrees. And just like that, we have this cookie dough that is nice and seized up and ready to be put on our baking sheet. So what we are going to do now is we are going to line our baking sheet with parchment paper. This is key, this is key, this is key. Ugh. Primarily, this parchment paper is so good for making sure that the cookies are not sticking to the pan, so you don't have to use any additional butter or Pam, anything like that. And also, I like the way things caramelize on the bottom of the cookie when you use the parchment paper. Normally, when I cut parchment paper, it doesn't come out exactly the way I want it, like for the size. And so what I'll do is I'll cut just what it looks like, what the size of the pan looks like, and then I'll just fold the sides so that it's easy for me to fit within the pan. All of my sides are folded, so I'm just gonna flip this parchment paper so that it lies nice and flat. All right, the most exciting part, getting all of our cookies onto this tray. So I know a lot of people, a lot of fancy people, like to use an ice cream scoop, but it's just easy to use a spoon like this, and that's what I do. I just kind of spoon them out and space them out as much as I possibly can. I am not a baker, I'm just a lady who loves cookies. So using a spoon is perfectly fine for me, and honestly, these cookies come out so beautifully round that really it doesn't matter either way. We are going to bake these cookies for about 12 to 15 minutes depending on the pan that you have, and we're waiting for it to still be a little bit white at the top but nice and brown around the edges. Now what you choose to do while the cookies are baking is completely up to you. And just like that, we have these beautiful chocolate chip cookies. Oh, I'm so excited. Now I mentioned that you want to space them out so they're nice and round when you take them out, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing, size matters. So no matter how far you space them out, if you put too much cookie dough in each of the little spots, they're going to come together anyway. So that's what happened here. Some of them are coming together, they're loving on each other. Now what I am going to do is carefully slide the parchment paper off of the baking pan. Could you put these on a cooling rack? Absolutely, but this is what I like to do, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. All right. If you don't have a cooling rack, you don't need to go out and get one. Just slide the parchment paper right out of the baking pan. My cookies may not be perfectly round today, but check this out. They are perfectly done on both sides. So there is some browning on the edges, and then behind it, right on the bottom there, it's so crispy, crunchety, but then watch. When I break them apart, oh yes. So this is a perfectly done chocolate chip cookie, and it's nice and crunchy on the outside. Now let me taste. Oh my gosh. All right, I gotta be careful because I'm gonna eat this whole batch. And just like that, we have some delicious and easy to make chocolate chip cookies. I really need some milk.